Hello, Mr. Nygren here. Welcome back to Hyrule War Classic Ultimate. My submod for Undead Onox or Ice Cream Man's mod, Hyrule War. It's based on the version released in December 2014. My submod was first released in the summer of 2019. The latest release was released on July 31st, 2021. This is a different version that hasn't been released. It will release later this week, actually. Okay, it's almost finished. So I've just fixed the issue with Una. She spawned for Midna, so previously if Midna wins the war, Zant's generals will join her and they would have their models. If Zant wins, then Midna's general Una and the generic generals and soldiers will join Zant. That also worked. And then if Midna surrenders to Zant, she's spared and sent to Hyrule and spawns at Arbeiter Grounds here. And then one turn later, or 2 turns later, Link will spawn, and that worked too. And when she took back the area of the Twilight Realm, she needs to take Arbeiter Grounds, and then automatically when the Twilight faction takes Arbeiter Grounds, they will get this portal, and then they can go back to the Twilight Realm and conquer it from Zant. Of course, I'm playing both in hot seat here, so I didn't have to fight the actual armies. I just moved them out to take the cities, and I'm using a trainer sheet too, so that I can trainer sheet. That's this sheet happens trainer here. Unlimited movement, so I don't have to waste time. You know, you can only move the unit. You can move only to the end of the green lines here. Now we can move a lot because of the cheat code, I believe, and it will also, if I click on it again when I have spent all these movement points, it's called movement points. If I move over here, and I shouldn't be able to move anymore this turn, but if I click again, I can, thanks to the cheat, move an unlimited amount each turn. So it speeds up the game, because the turns in this mod is everything from 2 minutes to 4 or 5 minutes long. Okay, and Una didn't work, because when Imp Midna reconquers this area and kills Zant, then she gets the troops of Zant. At first she gets the custom heroes, and in the previous video we saw that Lady Midi the Cunning and Olg, Shadowblow, pet of Zant, and Argorok the Dragon, and Dark Onox here, they worked, but Una, the Great Fairy, didn't work. Now she works too. And of course, Queen Midna herself works. She's back at being a queen. Okay, these troops are still Zant troops, but on the next turn Zant will surrender, and then they will join Midna too. See here. Surrender, yes. You get this area, it's Midna, and all the troops joined Queen Midna as well, so it works now. Now it's just one question. Is the Undead Onox still spawning? He shouldn't spawn anymore, because I added the new name for the Dark Onox. I believe we are too old and tries for Dark Onox. One for the AI spawning, and when the faction is controlled by the AI, when Zant invades Hyrule, was named one thing, Dark Onox A probably, and then the other was the one when you play as Zant and take Usu, you get that version of Zant, of Dark Onox I mean, named just Dark Onox or General Onox, and then I believe it was named Dark Onox and the other Dark Onox A for the AI, so they needed different names. And then when I added the feature that he will join Midna if Zant surrenders, then I needed a new name, so I named him Dark Onox Midna, and then I added that, I believe, to the, I believe there is like General Onox too, which is Undead Onox for the Stalfos faction, the Undead faction, and he has in his prerequisites that Dark Onox and Dark Onox A and King Zant and Prince Zant needs to be dead before he can spawn, but I had forgotten to add Dark Onox Midna in the prerequisites, so he used the game could feel that Prince Zant and King Zant didn't exist, and Dark Onox A and Dark Onox normal Dark Onox didn't exist, and despite this Dark Onox Midna existing, it still spawned Undead Onox, which is named General Onox in the code, because I hadn't added a new Dark Onox Midna name to the prerequisites. But now this one needs to be dead too before Undead Onox will spawn, so he is gone from the map, which is good. I've resized the River Sora Knights. By the way, they are smaller. They're still bigger than the captain, but they are smaller than they were previously. They're not as huge, still big. Resized the hero Baruda Khan too, and the King Sarsef. They didn't change the giant heroes, but they resized the River Sora heroes and general. They resized King Farkos of the Sora too. He was the same size as them. Now he is still the same size, just smaller. Same size as the River Sora Knights, just smaller than he was previously, just like them. And then I resized the Goron heroes general, so they are also the same size as the River Sora general. They are not too big anymore. But I have not resized giant ones, like the Market Tree of Labrynna down here, or Mayora. Don't know if they are on the map. No, Mayora haven't been resized. Check the map here. You see the Moblins and the Mayora soldiers here. The Mayora masks, the armored Moblin grunts, the generals, Palanon. Mayora captain is laying siege here to Malko of Duna province. Yeah, the Dark, that's with their new captain, laying siege to Aslusus, held by the Stalfos. It's their capital, I believe. Here's the general. Same model, just different skin. Much more cool golden and black skin. We have Xertax, a Stalfos general there. We have Nabaru, custom general of the Gyarados. Normal general of the Gyarados. The soldiers of the Sun and the Gyarados. Soldier of the Stalfos, the skeleton. I still need to replace some captains or soldiers, but I will not replace all of them. This soldier will be kept. Same with the Gyarados one, it looked good. There were some that lacked weapons. Here is the Goma soldier. Here we have the giant spider, Matriarch, the builder, deer giant. So I kept the size for all the real giants of the factions. For the Goma, that's the spider, of course. Here we have Sia, the mage, the holder of the Visrobe, the melee bodyguard. It's Lana Village, after she has been kind of changed by the magics of the order. Here we have the new general, generic general. The general of the Lanir province, the new soldier captain. I replaced this one. It's the last model that I replaced. I didn't like the old soldier. It had a bug issue with the feet. It looked very bad. This one looks more impressive. So yeah, the Lanir got a new soldier or captain. There are some factions that still need new captains because the old captains either lack their weapons or have very bad resolution. They are really old. The soldiers in battle have better resolution or have weapons, unlike the ones on the map. For example, the Acolyte soldiers of the Order of the Visrobe. Now we can't see them here, but they are female soldiers. They do not have any weapons on the map, but they have a sword in battle. So I might replace it with the one that has a sword, just like I did with the Lissalfos, where I added a captain with a knife, where previously they had a captain without a weapon. Here we have Queen Rutla, the leader of the Laniro province. Okay, Sheikah, they have Impa Killer here. Got a lot of truth bearers. The Sora, they have a cool soldier. I might replace it with the same unit but with better texture maybe. I don't know if there will be a difference. Maybe that one is good enough, but I think the battle model would have slightly more impressive quality. Would look slightly more high resolution. It's the same model, but I believe the strat models were reduced probably, unlike the battle models. And when I convert a battle model, they keep their quality. Okay, so they are not reduced. The Lebrina soldier also lacks a weapon. They probably re-add battle version with a weapon. So you'll have the same girl but with a weapon and maybe a shield. I think it looks better when they have weapons and shields. Here's the new soldier of the Lizardfoss. They have a knife instead of being unarmed. Here's the general. It's the same model, used with a mace instead of a knife. Fee, Highland Titan Fee, Spirit of the Master Sword. Fee, she still has her wrong portrait. She has the old portrait. I will need to fix that. I had replaced the portrait for the unit in custom battle. She still has the wrong portrait in the campaign. I will fix that. So this character, she's the Titan of the Highlands. She's very small. She's smaller than a normal troop soldier, knight. But I made the strat model bigger because she was glitched, because she was too small. I'm using normal skeletons, you know. I don't know how to use the custom skeletons. I tried, but I failed. So I had to use vanilla skeletons, and I still kept her small size in the previous 2021 release, and she looked glitched with her legs and other stuff, neck and such. So she's been resized to fit the skeleton of the soldier, so now she looks much better here. But is bigger than she should be in comparison to others, because she should be quite a bit smaller than a normal human. I will replace this diplomat. I liked it. It fit the colors of Hyrule and everything. That's why I kept it. But I will replace it with the all brown diplomat that used to be Huron's diplomat in the previous release. So the factions of Huron, Suna and the Tuke have lost their diplomats, and they're out of space for agents and strat models. You know, I added the rest of the heroes to the map and updated agents for Kingdom of certain factions like the Kingdom of Icana and the Forces of the Twilight under Zant and Midna, etc. And had to remove some stuff, so I removed I believe the diplomats of the Suna, the Tuke and the Huronians, and the Huronian diplomat was the old Hyrule diplomat. I will probably re-add it for Hyrule, because even though this is a wonderful model and fit the faction, I feel that the other one is consistent with the art. You know, when a faction declares war or makes peace, you see the diplomat of the Sora's domain, the old diplomat of Sora, and you see the old diplomat of the Kingdom of Hyrule. And by adding that Highland diplomat, it will be consistent with the art. So I will do it because of that reason. Otherwise I would have kept this, because I really like this model. With the Sora I've already replaced the HD 4.6 one, because I didn't think the wings fit anyway, and previously I used the old one for the River Sora and the new 4.6 one for the Sora's domain. Now I use the old one for the Sora, and then I've added a reskin for the River Sora, so they look different but use the same model. So the Sora's diplomat are now consistent with the art, but the Highland diplomat is not. So that's why I will replace that Highland diplomat. Same with the priest. I really like the highly engine priest from 4.6 too, but I want them to be consistent with the art that you see when a faction declares war and such, you know. It's weird if the diplomat looks one way on the art and then it looks a different way in the actual game. So the new diplomat and priest of Hyrule, of the kingdom of Hyrule, will be replaced with the older ones that fit the art style of this mod, just to be consistent. Here a Kokiri priest. Here a Mido hero. I might make him smaller. He became a little bit too big. I believe he's taller than a normal human on the map. So yeah, he might need to be made a little bit smaller. I can't do really small characters because I do not have a custom animation or skeleton, but I can certainly do him a little bit smaller than that, as the others are slightly smaller and are actually slightly smaller than the soldiers of Hyrule, while Mido ended up a little bit taller actually. And I don't know why he ended up a little bit taller, but he did, so that's why I need to resize him and make him a little bit smaller. So what remains to be done is update a few captains slash soldiers of factions that have either soldiers with bad resolution or soldiers without weapons, like the acolytes of the Order of the Wisrobe, and then replace the diplomat and the priest of the Kingdom of Hyrule with the old ones to be consistent with the art style of the mod. And after that I believe there were a few unused units, like the Skulltulas for the wild animals or wild lives, they are spiders, and the Aerodas, Ratches and Muldarak, which is like scorpions for the wild animals. They will be added to the River Sora from Lanayuru areas and from Snowpeak. So if the River Sora hold Snowpeak here, Snowpeak Castle, or hold any of the Lanayuru areas, they will be able to recruit the scorpions from nearby rivers. And if the Goma hold areas where the Skulltulas should be, like the Goma areas and maybe areas in the forest and maybe Kakariko, then they should be able to recruit the Skulltula spiders. They are not Goma, but they are spiders, so they fit in that faction. I might remove a hero too from custom battle, like Ashy or Malon, and add a new unit, but I don't know. We could add a certain unit, the same unit used by Meora, the disciples of Meora, but without their mask, and then we could make a unit like the Sora healers. So it will be a healer for the Kingdom of Hyrule. They would be very few, and they would be able to chant and inspire troops and increase morale, but they do not have any weapons and they do not have any Meora masks, but they would be the same model. It would be the same model in use by the diplomat, the old diplomat, the one in use by the Huronians. Their diplomat pretty much in battle for the Kingdom of Hyrule. That will also be the diplomat for the Kingdom of Hyrule in the next release. But he's the diplomat of Huron in the current release, because I didn't know what to do with it. You know, I hadn't reached the limit of strat models in the previous release. I reached that limit now, then I finished the rest of the heroes on the map and all that. Okay, and I added the rest of the models. Here we have the Icanians. We have Gomez, Princess Gomez, and General Kalnita the Saint. He's just spawned. We have the old soldiers. Here we have Igos to Icana, Cursed King of Icana, and Nobleman Borgard. I don't know what to do with the live Icanians. I removed them as armor upgrades because I didn't like it. So they have their undead units in the next release and won't get their alive units when they upgrade their armor, but I kind of wanted them to be able to switch religion, and when that happens they would change models, but the problem is I can't add any new events. I can add scripts to the mod, which is like events, but they can't actually connect it to an event, you know, a message. Because when I add a new event in this mod, then the Shreka gets fucked up. They will crash on turn 2. I added a bunch of events from a submod by Empress Tedster that he made like in 2014 for this version of Hyrule or a previous version of this mod, and he made it on the 2014 release, while the script worked with events for example Zulkaris when she gets her younger self back. That script works in this version, by the way, but the difference is that I managed to add an event picture with a message, and I also added the Sky City name to Serche and Majora Prime name to the Majora capital, but I had to revert all of that like in 2019 because the Shreka started to crash on turn 2. So if I change the events file or another file in relation to it, then the Shreka will crash on turn 2. Everyone else worked fine. So that's why I can't add new actual events, and without that feature we can't connect the feature to have these guys only be able to recruit the alive versions after a certain event and the undead before that event. You know, with for example the Great Sea units, before Zelda 5 is spawned, Hyrule cannot recruit their Great Sea units, but after Zelda 5 is spawned in the campaign, then they can recruit the Great Sea units, and they can no longer recruit the older ones. I would have wanted a similar script for the Kingdom of Icana, where they would be able to recruit undead units until a certain event has taken place, and then they would not be able to recruit them anymore and would instead recruit the good ones, the ones that are not cursed, the alive monkey versions of the characters. They are monkeys, chimpanzees or something. They look like chimpanzees, but anyway, these are undead versions, cursed versions, and the idea would be that prior to the event they would be undead, and then after the event they would be alive, just like with the Great Sea units. But because we do not have the event, I cannot connect it to an event. So I need an event first, and whenever I add a new event, because we need a message and we need the event to trigger, so we can connect it in the EDB to the actual event, and whenever I do that, the Shreka starts to crash. So that's why I'm not sure how to properly implement the feature for the Kingdom of Icana to switch their models. In the previous release, I believe I used the armor upgrade system, so when you built a blacksmith and upgraded your troops, they would change their looks. They would start with undead, and then they would, after a few upgrades, you would get the alive version, and then you would upgrade a bit more, you would get the undead again, and then you would upgrade a few times more and you would get the alive versions. But I removed that because it just means that if you build the latest the latest blacksmith, then you get the alive version, so you cannot get the undead anymore. There is another option, and that is to have a unique building, like 2 unique buildings. If you pick one, you can recruit the good ones, and the uncursed ones, and if you pick the other, you can recruit the cursed ones, and limit it so that if you pick one, you cannot use the other or something. But I don't know exactly how to implement that either. But anyway, so I'm not sure what to do with the live Icanian units, but currently only the undead are in the game, except the heroes, the King Igos to Icana, the leader, and Princess Gomez, and Skull Kita, or Captain Kita. He can, all those 3 can become alive in the campaign if you conquer all the areas that are supposed to be held by the King of Icana. The 3 areas here, Volcana, Icana, and the Stone Tower Ruins, and then you need to take Olnach and Mysium, and then you also need to take capital of the Majora faction, Dead Market Tree, that I would have wanted to rename into Majora Prime, but anyway, couldn't do it. Same reason why the Sky City is not named the Sky City and is named Serche still. Okay, so I would want them to take this area, and sorry, if they take this area and all the Arcanian areas, and if Miora is dead, in the old release they also needed to kill Zelda, Miora cultist Zelda 3. But in the coming release they removed Zelda from the prerequisite. So you need to hold all the Arcanian lands, and you need to hold the capital of the Church of Miora, and you need to kill Miora himself. After that, your heroes, King Igos Tuikana, Princess Gomez, and Skullkita will be restored to their alive forms, so you can get the heroes, and they will spawn with a few alive troops too. But the main army is still undead, so I don't know how to properly implement them, because if I were able to add new events with messages, then it would have been easy to just connect it to the event. But currently that's not an option. So I guess the only the only option that I can think of is making unique buildings, but I think Undead Nephilim has already used up all the building slots. So I don't know if it's possible to add any new buildings. Otherwise, we could do a similar system as to the Forces of the Twilight, where they have a light building and a dark building. If you build the light one, you can get the light troops, and if you build the dark one, you can get the dark troops. And before the Civil War is over, you cannot get the other side troops. But if after the Civil War, he is able to get the troops. For example, if Zant constructs the light building, he can only get very few troops that are shared with him and Midna from the start. But after the Civil War is ended, if Zant is victorious, then he will get all the Midna troops from that building. So it's a worthless building almost in the early game, but after the Civil War it's a really good building. While of course the dark building has all the units, and the same is true for Midna. I'm controlling Zant. Okay, Midna, she constructs the red dark building. She only has very few troops shared with Zant, like the Twilight infantry. But after the Civil War has ended, if Zant is surrendered, she will get all his troops from that building. So it's a very valuable building after the war has ended between Zant and Midna, but it's almost worthless before the Civil War has ended, because the light building for Midna and the dark building for Zant, they have same units that are available from the other building for the faction. But unlike for example, the light building for Zant or the dark building for Midna, the one they start out with, for example, for Midna that is the light building, and for Zant it's the dark building. They have all the units they get from the other building plus their own units. Well, if they construct the other building, they only have the units that they also get from the other building, but they do not get the custom ones for that faction unless a surrender has happened. So in other words, the army is separated between light and dark until the Civil War is over. And with the Kingdom of Icana, it would be possible to have a similar system where if they construct one building, they get the cursed units, and if they construct a different building, they get the uncursed units. And one could limit it so that if you pick the light building, you cannot get the dark building anymore. So it's either one or the other. Even easier would be to add an event that asks you if you want to play as the good Icanians or the evil ones. I mean the uncursed ones or the cursed ones. But because we cannot add new events with pictures and messages, I cannot do that. So there is a risk that the Kingdom of Icana will not be able to use their alive units in the next release. That's the one feature that might not be finished because of the issue with adding new events. Okay, but now we know that Undead Onox hasn't spawned, because he requires this Onox to be dead to spawn, in order to spawn, and Una works. So we are done with this. It worked well. Click and turn, by the way. We didn't have AI moves on. Okay, so we're done with this now. fixed it. The script works. Imp Midna can now turn back into Queen Midna, and she will get all of the remaining Zant heroes if they are still alive. If they are not alive, she won't get them. So if you play as Queen Midna and Una dies, then Zant won't get her, and then of course she won't get her later either. But if she's still alive at the surrender, and Midna surrenders, then Zant will get her, and if she is dead, killed after that, then Midna won't get her. But but if she is still alive when Imp Midna takes the Twilight Realm and kills Zant, then she will join Imp Midna again. Same is true for the Argorok the Dragon, Dark Onox, Olg, the Shadowblot pet of Zant, and Lady Meader the Cunning, and any generic general and troops. And now, unlike in the previous two videos, all of them have their custom models. Okay, so we fixed the issue, and what remains to do is what I said previously. Replace the two agents, update the captain/soldiers, add maybe one or two new units if I remove Malin and Ashe from custom battle, or I will keep them in custom battle and not add any unit. And then after that, I believe add the Skaltalla and the Hyrule as Araches and Moldark to the River Sora and Goma, respectively. And after that, I think the only question is what to do with the alive Icanian units, because they have alive versions of almost every unit. But yeah, because the events do not work, I might actually not be able to add a feature that should be in the game, where you can convert them into alive uncursed versions. I would want that feature, but I don't know a proper way to implement it due to the issue with the events. Okay, but that's what remains to be done. I also wanted, in 2019 I tried to add new music for Miora and such, but it didn't work. The files didn't regenerate properly. With Hyrule Total War 4.6, however, the files are in order, unlike with this. And Hyrule Total War 4.6 has all the music of this mod plus new music. So I was thinking maybe I could fix it by moving over the music files from that mod and replacing the music files of this mod. It could work actually, because 4.6 was originally also based on this mod. Okay, because that would then enable me to add the Miora music from Hyrule Historia to the Miora capital, so we would have the Miora music there like I wanted. Problem was when I added the music in 2019 that every other sound, like cannon sound and marching sound, disappeared. So I didn't want to have the music if I lost the marching sound and the cannon sound and such. But of course, if I can implement it without losing any of the other sound, like I've done in other mods, then yeah, I would want the Miora music in the capital of Miora. And by the way, I believe that the Ukka have the old Shrika music in Seshay, but there is awesome Ukka music for the Ukka heard in the Battle of the Sky City in the Hyrule Historia videos, and that music is also great. So I would like the Miora faction to have its own music, and I would like the Ukka faction to have its own music, but only if it's possible without losing any of the marching sounds and cannon sounds and such. And 4.6, and I tried to extract music from it, worked fine, everything extracted. But with this older sub-mod, I mean this sub-mod is more recent, but it's based on an older version of Hyrule Total War, and when I tried to extract the music here, I only extracted very few songs. Most of it wasn't extracted, so I had to extract it from 4.6 to get the songs. When I did a video previously where I showed off pictures of the development of, or the conversion of strat models back in 2021, between March 13 and March 31st, I believe, 2021. So I had a music that fit each faction. So when I showed pictures of the Goma, I had, not the Goma, but the Gorons, for example, then I had proper music that fit that faction. And yeah, Miora should definitely have their own music if I am able to add it. You know, they have their own custom city in battle, just not on the map. The Ukka, thanks to Jane, got a strat model on the map too for the city and general, but they also have the custom settlement in battle. I would want their music too in battle, and also 4.6 has updated music for all the factions. They have the old music and then they have new tracks too, so I would of course want that music too. But currently we only have the old music. The problem with adding new music too is that if anything goes wrong, it might cause the campaign to be unstable. So I don't want to add any music in the next release. I will release the mod and then probably the music will be an add-on, as in other words DLC or an extra update later that you can download as an add-on, or I will update the mod again with the music only if I deem it stable enough after the changes, because I don't want to replace the music and end up with a mod that crashes all the time. So I need to know that it's actually stable before uploading it with the music changes, and that's why I want to release the next version without the music changes, and then I will experiment with the music, and if it works fine, we will get the music of 4.6, including unique Ukka and Majora music. Also, the Great Theatre War demo, which I have access to, has new music too for New Hyrule, I believe, and maybe some others. And that music is also great. I just don't know which faction would get it. I don't want to add it to the Lana Hyrule because I like the Lana Hyrule in their current shape. Maybe the Kingdom of Hyrule, but it's a little bit different, you know. The theme is different, but the music tracks are great, so we'll see. Maybe I can add some tracks from Great Theatre War too. But certainly the 4.6 music and the Majora music and the Ukka music, if I can get them into the game without causing the game to start to be unstable. Yeah, but Great Theatre War has great tracks too that I might add if I deem them suitable for the faction. Maybe Kingdom of Hyrule will get some Great Sea New Hyrule tracks too. We'll see. Alright, here's Zelda 1 by the way. In the next release there's only one Zelda in any faction, so for example the Kingdom of Hyrule has this version of Zelda 1, the normal one. Then the Sheikah has the one with the white dress, which is unique to the Sheikah when the player places the Sheikah. And the Udona province down here has the one with the coat. It's unique to the Udona province when the player places them. And the Order of the Visrobe has the alternate Zelda tree, the blonde Zelda tree with the pink dress, a really cool Zelda tree. And then Majora of course has the Majora cultist version. And yeah, the Majora version will exist at the same time as any of the good ones. However, when it comes to the other Zeldas, you have Zelda 1 from the start of the game, and she won't exist together with any other Zelda 1s. If you play the Hyrule faction, you get this Zelda 1. If you play the others, you get the others, and this one won't spawn if the other one is in the campaign. So in other words, you have only one Zelda 1 at any time. Zelda 2 only has one version, and she spawns on turn 53, I believe, for the Kingdom of Hyrule. Then Zelda 3 spawns on turn 91 for the Kingdom of Hyrule, the normal Zelda 3 from Twilight Princess. And then if you play the Order of Visrobe, you get a different one on turn 92 that will replace the other one, so you won't actually see the normal Zelda 3 for more than one turn if you play the Order of the Visrobe, because she will be moved off map and replaced by the Order's Zelda 3. So this way we keep the game from having many of the same character at once. We have Princess Zelda 1, the Horseheir. Also I added a name for them from the Hyrule Wikipedia, so Nylin Noensen Zelda 1 is her name. The other two Zelda 1 are also named Nylin Noensen. Zelda 1 is the same character, while Zelda 2 is named something else, and Zelda 3 is named Merala Noensen Zelda 3, and she's a different character. Zelda 2 is a different character. So originally I believe that Zelda 1 was expected to die the first 54 turns and then be replaced by Zelda 2, and then in turn 91, Zelda 3 takes over and Zelda 2 is supposed to be dead. But in this mod, chances are that Zelda 1 will still be alive and Zelda 2 spawns, and Zelda 2 and 1 might be alive and Zelda 3 spawns. That's still the case. I tried to add a script that would force the spawn of Zelda 2 and 3 to wait. So for example, you wouldn't get Zelda 2 unless Zelda 1 is dead, but that just prevented Zelda 2 from spawning at all. So instead I allowed Zelda 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to exist at the same time, as long as Zelda 1 is still alive and Zelda 2 spawns, and both of them are alive and Zelda 3 spawns, and all 3 of them are alive and Zelda 4 spawns, and all 4 are alive and Zelda 5 spawns. However, the same Zelda doesn't exist at the same time with any of the other Zelda 1s, and the same Zelda 3 doesn't exist with other Zelda 3. The exception being the Church of Miora, because I see that as a Terminian Zelda 3. She's like an alternate world Zelda 3. So Termina Zelda 3 or Miora Zelda 3 will exist at the same time as the good Zelda 3. So if you play the Kingdom of Hyrule, you will have Miora Zelda and normal Zelda 3 at the same time, and if you play the Order of the Wizard, we have the other Zelda 3 and Miora Zelda at the same time, but we'll never have the good Zelda 3s at the same time. In other words, you won't have the Wizrobe and the Kingdom of Hyrule Zeldas at the same time. But you will have Zelda 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 at the same time if the first 4 haven't been killed when the 5th one spawns late game, because they are different characters. I believe Zelda 2 is the daughter of Zelda 1 and General Arton of the Kingdom of Hyrule, and Zelda 3 is the daughter of Zelda 2 and someone, and Zelda 4 is the daughter of Zelda 3 and Lord Aghanim of the Shreka, and Zelda 5 is the daughter of Zelda 4 and someone, and also Tetralina Noensen Zelda 5 is the full name of Zelda 5, but that's the name of the more adult version of, or teenage version of Zelda 5. And unlike the other Zeldas, she won't spawn unless Zelda 5 is dead. So Zelda 5, which is the kid version of Zelda 5, kid version of Tetralina Zelda Noensen, Tetralina Noensen Zelda 5, she needs to die, so she spawns on turn 151 for the Kingdom of Hyrule, and the older version, the adult or teenage version, spawns on turn 171. So there is 20 turns between kid version and the adult version, and that will increase if the kid version is still alive, because she won't spawn unless the kid version is killed. But as soon as the kid version is killed, the older one will spawn, as long as it's post turn 171. If she dies prior to turn 171, then she won't spawn until turn 171. So you will have to wait at least 20 turns between both Zelda 5s. But yeah, one of them needs to be dead before the other will spawn, because I didn't want the older version of the same character to be present at the same time. I didn't want Zelda 2 to be present when Zelda 1 is still their leader, but yeah, I had problems getting it to work. Because it was an historic event involved, I could delay the historic event, but no, I decided to let them exist at once if Zelda 1 is still alive and Zelda 2 spawns. Okay, but if you want it to be accurate to lore, just have Zelda 1 killed prior to Zelda 2, and then have Zelda 2 killed prior to Zelda 3, because Zelda 2 is the daughter of Zelda 1, Zelda 3 is the daughter of Zelda 2, Zelda 4 is the daughter of Zelda 3, and Zelda 5 is the daughter of Zelda 4. So they are not supposed to exist at the same time as adults, you know. They are daughters, so this Zelda should be really old when Zelda 2 is an adult, or at least middle-aged, and then when Zelda 3 is an adult, she should be an old hag. So yeah, that's the difference between the Zeldas. They are different generations, 5 generations of Zeldas, while the difference between the 3 different Zelda ones is that they are just different. They have different looks, and same with the Zelda 3s, but the Miora one I made it a custom Majora Termina version of the character. Termina is like an alternate reality or world where many of the same characters exist, but in an alternate, more evil form. Okay, it's like the gothic version of Hyrule, where every character, almost every character exists with a different name probably and different look, almost the same look but purple or bluish instead of. They look more evil, and yeah, so it's like alternate Kingdom of Hyrule with alternate heroes from the Kingdom of Hyrule that are not good, at least not in this mod. Okay, but thank you for watching, and expect the next release to release this week. Actually, I wanted to release it very soon, but I still want to finish whatever I can finish, because the goal of modding this mod is to play the mod, you know. I enjoy playing this mod, but there's no reason to play an unfinished version when you have the skills to make it better, so you can play an improved version. You know, if I have a mod and it's great, and then I see a lot of stuff that I can improve, then I rather improve on that stuff before playing it, and then play it after I have improved everything that I could improve. And it's almost at that state, you know. So this week a new release, and the only thing after that will be if I found bugs when I play the game, then I will update a patch or something, fix. And besides that, we might get a music update at some point. But this is the final real update of the mod. Anything else will be fixing of any issues and music update maybe. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.